He's ready, but everybody's again.
Yes, everyone here. Yeah.
And I know it's my first time meeting you guys, although I feel like I know you, right? So do you need to translate or?
No, I'd rather translate.
You're gonna translate?
Oh, you want to translate?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Así es.
Throw the D-man in the fire, right?
Así es.
But I want to be able just to visit and talk today so that you can, you have a chance to ask some things.
I don't think con fuerza.
El micrófono.
Sí. Allá.
Yo lo pongo.
No. No.
Andrés, vamos a poner el micrófono.
Oh, yeah. We had a small meeting this morning.
Ah, lo vamos a
And
poner.
it was great because we were.
Aquí funciona con cable. No con el cosito.
Because
No, empezamos a conectarlo.
we don't want this to be your deal, that
Con esto,
the
sí.
business that you're in right now.
Ah, no.
We want this to be business for your.
Si funciona, es maravilloso.
And I know we have some people in here like person
Oh.
and.
No se puede.
Rafa, who built other businesses.
Ahí sí. ¿Ese funciona?
And many of you have built other businesses.
Sí, 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 sí.
To see them not be what you wanted to be. They were disappointed. You didn't come through.
¿No salió?
Pero en sus negocios no tuvieron tanto éxito como tenían.
No, es que no se agarra.
Here, you
A
can.
menos que le conectes el otro enchufe mío. Ahora, sí,
This
tengo
is
que-
your for real business. Yeah, no negocios de verdad. And that's the way I want you to look at this.
Mira,
Así como quiero que whenever someone comes to the box and presentation,
por eso
I
sí,
start out by telling people that we're not here asking you for money.
¿serio?
That all we want is the next 10
Por eso
years.
sí, lo yo lo he utilizado.
That's when they know to listen. They know.
Bueno, está enlazado yo.
To be serious.
Ahora sí, debería estar listo.
While we're having fun, and while this is
Me
exciting.
gustaría saber si nos están
this is
escuchando.
very serious.
Si nos están escuchando, por favor, dejen saber si están escuchando.
Because in the book Think and Grow Rich, it says that basically you only have one or two real opportunities coming your way.
Micrófono de audio. ¿No será este? Mira, dice Rafael García. Dale.
She would understand what I am. And the other thing is, you can get, we don't.
Aló, aló.
That you got off real fast on.
Aló.
Rich really wanted my dad to know who he was. So he said, Hubert, what do we have to do? What do I have to do for you to pay me attention, to call me and to come to California? So Dad said, okay, the average person who joins the company usually has 15 to 20 recruits their first month, personal. And so if you do that, then I might call you. Yeah. And so Rich went out that whole month and worked as hard as he could. And he ended up getting 17 recruits, 17. So he called up my dad And he said, I'm sorry, I let you down.
Perdón, te defraudé.
And he said, and dad called him up, says, well, maybe next month.
Mi papá le dijo, bueno, capaz el próximo mes.
But then the company leaders bulletin, in those days, it was mailed.
En ese entonces,
It wasn't
el
online.
boletín de líderes eran personas
Where the leaders bulletin came out, this guy was number one in the company.
Él era
Then the next closest guy had 5
siempre nada más tenía 5 personas.
because my dad had set the bar up here. And that guy was the number one guy ever because they set the bar. And that's what has to happen here. So, because I promise you, if you thought 5 people was a lot, you might have done 5. So we got to be like, and your standard should not be anything else what anybody else does in the company. Your standard should be success. Okay? Because in our company, we have a unique situation that's also a problem. It's a good problem. Okay. And the problem is that you can make so much money selling a product that you don't have to recruit. Now, some of you have been in network marketing. You make money one way in network marketing, recruiting. Mucho recluta, right? And so, yeah, so here, you can go recruit a little and make a lot. So what do you think people do? They recruit a little. But there will come somebody, and hopefully it's right here, and I believe that, that's will go, see, I've been able to have a front row seat to history. I've been able to see all of this, right? Like that picture there. Okay, so I've seen all this stuff happen. At the beginning of what is Primerica, there was a group of people the first 5 or 6 months that sold a lot of term insurance. Then my dad came in and he understood recruiting and building. And he went out and built, the company had about 100 people. And then my dad moved our family to Denver. That truck, we moved to Denver from Macon, Georgia. And my dad recruited 15,000 people in 18 months. And so then the rest of the company went. And so then Primerica became Primerica. Okay. In WFG, the first 3 years, a guy named Bryce Peterson, who understood the product, because in WFG, we sold what's called variable life. And so to sell variable life, you had to have an insurance license, a securities license, and a variable license.
We suffer because of what?
I know. And so, well, the first 3 or 4 years, this guy Bryce knew the product, so he was number one. But a guy named Xuan Nguyen, Xuan, Xuan Nguyen, joined the company, and he's Vietnamese, and he went and recruited like 50,000 people. Now, it took his team a long time to pass the test, but once they did, no one ever heard about the other guy again. And Xuan Nguyen is the absolute god in our industry. He's made $1 million a month for 20 years. So that's because he was committed to recruiting. Now, you ever heard of Manatech? You ever heard of the company? It's a pretty big network marketing company. But we met with the biggest producer of that company yesterday and the president of that company. Now he's leaving there and wants to build something else. But his wife wasn't really listening too much until I showed her that with 5 people licensed with us that close a sale a week, and you close a sale a week, so you make $20,000. And when I said that, she looked straight up. Now she was listening. Debbie could tell you she was sitting there. And this lady's like, what? Because that lady, to make 20,000, had to go recruit 5,000 people. Selling her health drink. That's what we do. So here's what happens. Somebody's going to come here and going to just dominate recruiting. And they will be bigger than anything anybody's ever seen. They'll make Aki, like right now we have Aki Rupani. Made 10, $11 million last year. If you're in network marketing, what is the thing that you want more than anything? For your people to, yeah. You want your people to make money. Because if your people make money, they stay. And we're all friends, man. We're buddies. And I think we'll always be friends. But I'm a little, he likes me a little more because he's making money. You know, everybody's happy when they're making money. You know, what's that? That's okay. Something took over. No, it's okay. So listen, this is what happens. Because Aki made a lot of money, but that's not why his story is such a great story. It's because his team made 130 million last year. That's the key. Yeah. That's his payroll for his team last year, 131 million. That's what you want to hear. Now listen, I get network marketing and I'm a fan. But the dirty secret is what you make. Okay? And what your people don't make. Here, but that's a problem though, because they're making that much money, not even being big recruiters, being little bitty recruiters. So I promise you, when you look at the leaders bulletin, you go, oh, I'm #1 in recruiting. My dad's like this, throwing up in the garbage. I mean, because it makes him physically ill because he thinks, like the average, for example, if you looked at Primerica numbers 20 years ago, 25 years ago, a person had to close 100 sales, right, to make money in their team. Here, you can make the same money with 5 to 10 sales. Now, the way my dad would look at that, he would say, if we go close 100, you'd make 10 times more. But human nature is people think, oh, I've only got to close 10. No, we don't want that. And so don't be, what you see is the beginning of something. Don't even pay. When you look in the manual, you go after the big numbers. Like, like base shops should be doing 50 recruits a month. Make it that your own numbers. It'd be like this. Don't even pay attention. Because listen, if you're in a race and you're on the first step of the race, you don't celebrate. That's where we're at. We're not even anywhere in the race yet. So it's just, I want this team to expect the standard, to be this. Okay? And that's where you got to understand the numbers. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So, but I talked a little bit about this. And I will credit Rafa for this presentation because I have all my stuff. I never organized it. And he likes this. And he said, do this. And so I started doing it, right? So, but this just gives you a little feel of what's going on, right? So when you hear my dad, when you meet Hubert on the video, right? You're like, here's a guy, he's a billionaire. He's written this book now that's this new book that's going to be a bestseller. He's built big, two, now $3 billion companies. You're like, oh my gosh. That's not why I want you to like him. It's because he was a railroad conductor till he was 37. So that's more impressive than the other, because then you're like, I can do that. I'm that guy, and so that's who he was. He tried, so that's what I want you to see. That's how we grew up, Macon, Georgia, going to see my dad on the railroad all the time. But he always dreamed, he just couldn't find the right vehicle. Sashi, how you doing, buddy? So that was life. But will you act when opportunity hits? This is the question. Everybody talks. Everybody's like, oh, I want to win. I want to win. People all over the internet watching all the TikToks. I want to win. I want to win. They go pay $20,000 to hear Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins or whoever. I want to win. But when success comes, you're like, not now. I'm not ready yet. I just got married, so I got to wait. I'm young. I got to wait till I know what I'm doing. I just got divorced. I got to wait, whatever. That's all BS. Success doesn't work that way. So what happens is Think and Grow Rich says that when success shows up, you have to act when? Now. Like as in now. This now, not the other now, right? And that's hard. Because when crap goes on, you got things going, you don't feel good, things aren't good, your financial situation sucks, your old company's being stupid, trying to cause you problems, whatever it is, kids sick, you got to act. And so this time when my dad saw what they were building with Primerica, we had never been out of Macon, Georgia, but a couple of times. And he loaded up the U-Haul truck and we moved. Now you don't have to move. But the question is, will you go do whatever it takes right now? If you will, you will. So here we sit. You can't fix anything that happened in the past. And you can't control anything that happens in the future. All you can control is right now. And now last month's last month. Doesn't matter what you did last month. Now what matters is what you did in stacked months on months on months. Hey guys, how you doing? Good. I was just asking about you. Didn't I? I asked you about him earlier. Yeah. I did. My man. Good to see you guys. How you doing? Hey. We have to have two non-Latinos in the room, so you got me and you in here, right? Nice to meet you. You bet. Thanks. But just talking about the success, a little bit about the history of where we're all at. So, but I want you to understand that when you see Hubert, he wasn't like he is now. When you hear him up here strong, wasn't that long ago where he's trying to figure out what you were going to do next. So understand that. Any questions on anything so far? Okay, pretty cool. So now then, let me shift this around a little bit here. Excuse me. We just had in Atlanta a great event. Well, two great events. One of them was RMD Academy. And we also had a boot camp. And in the boot camp, it was about getting people fundamentally sound. And all these presentations that you're about to see, we have prepared for you. Now you got that link, right? That has all of them. Okay, so super. So everything you see, before you say, I want to see it, you have it, okay? Because I want you to understand, what is our role here? Like, what is your role in the company? What's his role? What is it here we're supposed to build? Distribution, that's all. We're not supposed to come up with ideas. products. If you come up and go, I got this idea, I don't care. I got this new product, don't want to hear it. Seriously, that is not any of our role. Our role is to build stores. People, that's what we do. That's what, as a company, we do better than anyone else, right? Like, it's all kinds of distribution. There's franchises, there's network marketing, there's direct sales. Okay, let's take a look here. Some of you have seen this, but I want to go over this again, okay? Because success leaves clues. There's patterns, okay? Now, my biggest thing today is for you to raise your standard to hear, not what you see. I'll show you. So in the 80s, the baby boomers were in their young 20s. They didn't have much money, but they needed insurance. So they bought term life insurance, which was cheap, right? And then you look here, the distribution channel, the Amazon of that was A.O. Williams, which today's Primerica, okay? Then the baby boomers are 10 years older, and they started saving money, so they got mutual funds and variable products. And then the Amazon that appeared was WMA, which today's World Financial Group, okay? And then in the 2000s, you had mortgages and real estate that exploded. And the company that sold the most was WLG. And then today you have all these products and there's HGI. Now I want to show you something on here. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Herson. See, here's what happens. It took 1 million people to build Primerica. 1 million. They recruited about 1 million to 2 million people now. But when Dad wrote that book, The Magic of Compound Recruiting, he wrote this book, this book right here. The reason he wrote this book, and I want you to write this down if you're taking notes. Write down human nature. If you ever learn anything, you got to learn people. And I can promise you that if I talk to you for 5-10 minutes, I got you figured out. Because I've studied so much and prepared and talked to so many people, right? So after my dad moved to Denver, recruited all those people, everyone kept saying, how did you do that? So he wrote this book. Now the whole industry has been built off this book pretty much. Okay, because it's a very simple way to explain the mindset. Okay, so human nature, right? Like, I'm going to tell you something and I'm going to tell you how to look at it. Primerica took 1 million people to build $1 billion company. WFG took 500,000 people. WLG took almost 200,000. And here we have 70,000. And we did the same thing. And everybody's like, that's awesome. It's really not though. No, listen. Now listen, some like James, our buddy James, who came down here, right? James uses this as a selling point. He'll get up and goes, look, it only takes, if my dad heard us say it only takes a certain amount of people, he would throw us all out this window one at a time. Because here's what my dad doesn't understand. My dad's like, why didn't they recruit 1 million people and have it be 100 times bigger? You're like, oh, it only takes this little amount. No. You're limiting yourself. So I promise you, that's what I'm begging. That's my message to bring to you. Don't, like I can go recruit somebody and go, look, it only takes 5 people closing a sale a week to make 300,000. And I like recruiting with that, but I almost am limiting them. You know, so I want you to know here, had those numbers been here, you couldn't even comprehend what could be made. Okay. Now then, what do all 4 of those companies have in common? They were all run by the system, the leadership formula system. They were all run by Hubert, and then they were all sold to companies that are household names. So they work. I mean,
I recruited someone and I was explaining everything. And at the end, wait, is this sign the logo? I think I wasn't, he told me, he was telling me, I think I was in a company called World Marketing Alliance.
mhm.
I told him, of course, that's the person I told you at the
Yeah.
beginning. It's like, oh, I saw Hubert when it was founded. So
Yeah.
it was amazing.
That's powerful. So but it shows you what we have to be. This is what I want my legacy. We on our shirts, what does it say? Team legacy. The legacy is of big distribution, and I want us to go do that. If you want to put your head down and look up in a year and be way bigger than Aki or even those guys, it can be done through recruiting. Because has McDonald's ever won a taste test? I don't think anybody's going to say McDonald's has the best food. It's not the worst, but it's not the best food, right? Wendy's wins some hamburger things, or Chick-fil-A, or right. Why is McDonald's bigger than Burger King, Wendy's, and Chick-fil-A combined? Systems specifically, they have more stores, outlets. These are words. Like we had this girl. How was that girl today at the meeting? That little girl. This little girl. Sitting there, ate with her mom. I said, she's going to be my helper. And they're like, what? So I said, when I point at you, you say 72. The whole thing, she was sitting there waiting on me. Every time I said something, she goes 72. Because I was teaching compound interest. So if that little girl was in the room, I'd have her say outlets every time I pointed to her. Coca-Cola has never won a big taste test. Pepsi's won it. RC Cola won it. But Coca-Cola, you're never more than 100 yards from a Coke machine in any civilized place on earth. Nowhere. I mean, nowhere. You could be on the beach or the most remote beach on earth. They're going to bring you a Coke. All the way up to you're the best Ruth Chris Steakhouse in the world, they're going to bring you that little bottle of Coke. It's because of outlets, distribution. That's who we are. So we have got to go become these monster prolific recruiters. That's what I'm asking of you. Have faith knowing that if you do that, you'll have the biggest distribution. Right. So I wanted you to get that. I like that a lot. I think that's very, very helpful to all of us. Okay. Let me put together a couple of more things here. Let's go to the fun stuff here of if I have the calculator up. Now, I live and die by this. How many of you have never seen this? Thank you. That's okay. We got a lot of tools. I want to. Now, I will tell you this. I show this in every presentation I ever do. Because to me, I'm going to show you an example of what we're talking about here, okay? What is the new six-figure phenomenon mean? What is that? Okay, it's inflation. What it means is that if she made, what's your first name again? Nombre? Valentina. Okay, Valentina, we got a battle of the Valentinas. Okay, if Valentina made $100,000 in 1990, she'd have to make $300,000 today for the exact same money. Same thing. Okay, so that's a fact. That's why people who make $100,000 a year today feel broke, because you're really making $30,000 if you understand inflation. So how are you going to get to that, right? And of course, the people who make 300,000, they're usually pretty sharp. Like, what percentage of people do you think make 300,000? A little bit over 1%. 400,000 is the exact 1%. So 300,000 is pretty close. Now, people who make 300,000 a year, every year, not get lucky and do it once. What are they like? What kind of people make 300,000 a year? CEOs, professionals, doctor, lawyers, smart people, people who had money to invest in something, you know, and most people with an entrepreneur, but even then, with an entrepreneur, they don't have control of their time. Like if you run a car dealership or a car salesman can make $300,000 a year and have no life of any kind. Then, and so it's, if a husband and wife both have to work, they have no relationship. They don't see each other. So you got to show how to make 300,000. So, and what you could do here is you take this calculator. What happens is, I want to make, when you're talking to somebody, the most important thing you can do, like I can come in here and give you a Tony Robbins speech. I can blow your mind. I can impress you all day long. That does me no good. It's not duplicatable. And you'll think that son of a gun thinks he's cocky and I don't like him or whatever. I mean, you know, you may think that anyway, but that's okay. But I'm going to make it to where you go, I could do that. Or like this guy's relatable. That's what I want, is for you to know you can do it. Because when you hear Rafa talk, if you haven't heard him do a presentation, he's phenomenal. He's a force of nature. He's good, strong, right? And sometimes when you hear me speak or him speak, you may be like, man, that's a sharp dude. We want you to be able to go, I can do this. Very important. Okay. So this is what I use this for. What this calculator does is it takes what you make if you close your own sales and what your team does. Okay. So let's just say that I was talking to Valentina. And when you start out, you're at 45, you're at an associate, right? Let's say she comes in and she's like, I tried Herbalife before, I tried Amway before, I tried Mary Kay, and I don't want to recruit. I'm not going to recruit. I said, okay, no problem. I said, what, do you like our products? Yes, I like our products. I said, do you think that women need to be empowered with this information? And she says, yes, of course. So I said, do you think it's possible for you to see 3 other women to show them how they need to build tax-free retirement and have living benefits? And she goes, yes, that's possible. So now then, I say, okay, I put in here 3. Because if I told her, what if you did 10 sales a month? She ain't going to do 10 sales a month. And most people, they'll nod their head, but they're like, I don't believe that. I got to have them believe whatever number I put here, right? So I said, look, if you do 3 sales a month by yourself, you make $49,000 a year. And how many recruits does she have? Nada. Can you recruit nobody? Yes, anybody, right? And so now I show her that. She's like, that's pretty good money. And if you take the networking businesses that you know of, not a lot of people in those companies make 50,000 because that's decent money. Okay. So now you say, if you do that, if she does that for a couple of months, she'll earn her first promotion. So now she's making 66,000, still just helping 3 women a month. Okay. So then though, I'll say, you have some confidence. I said, do you think that there's probably 3 other women that are looking to become entrepreneurs who probably want to do this? And she's like, okay, yeah, I believe I could do that. $1,000 a year. And I just showed her that herself and 3 people writing 3 sales a month, part-time, That's what that is. And so all of a sudden, right? And then I say, look, if you do that for, a couple of months, then you become an RMD, which is the broker spot, right? And you'd make a minimum of 152,000. And with bonuses, that 78 is usually about an 83 or 84%. So that's pretty powerful. And if you'll remember, I got to try to get it. What income do I need to try to get everybody to? 300,000 is the magic number. So you go double that, you got them at 300,000. So basically, what happens now, if she goes out and she closes a sale a week, and she has 5 people that close a sale a week, there would be some diversification. By the way, right now not to distract you but annuities are the easiest sell on the face of the earth. You go see somebody, you just got to figure out who around you has some money. Like, anybody you know that's 40, 45, or 50, somehow, some way, you got to go talk to them. Because let's just say that we're talking, if someone's 45 or 50, they can't afford the market to go down because retirement's coming. So right now you have all these people in the market. What's happened to the market in the last little while? So somebody who had $100,000 just a few weeks ago now has about 90. And they're like, what just happened? You can go sit down with them and say, we can show you how to guarantee your growth. They roll that money into these annuity products, guaranteed that they can never lose money. They get a 30% bonus and guaranteed return of 8%. I don't want to confuse you and get off into products, but I'm telling you, right now, you need to get on top of it because it's Rory, $6 million he did in one day the other day. Everybody around you is listening to this right now. So just know, I didn't even put hardly anything to do with annuities. I'll answer whatever you got. That's okay. It doesn't quite work literally that way. It's a bonuses based off of their income that they take out of it. We'll get the guys to, real quick, just while we're here. An annuity is for somebody who's already has money. You don't put monthly money into an annuity. Somebody who's already built some money. Yeah, so somebody's got their money over here after they've had it for a while and they're like, I'm scared of the market. That guy, you can move it over to something that guarantees they cannot lose. And within that, all you gotta do is ask them 2 questions. Is that, do you want income from it right now? If they do, there's one annuity. If they don't, if they just want to leave it in there and have it grow and get it later, 5, 10 years, there's a different annuity. That's all. That's all you got to ask them. And we'll have the right people answer those questions. But right now, you're a pretty sharp group. You can go outside yourself and go after money. You can spell money. I ain't got to tell you where you see money and you know where it is. And it's usually 40 and above that'll listen to you because younger person, they got enough time for the market to do funky stuff. But it's out there, right? I'm just letting you know right now. As you're out, look around, okay?
Right. We've been trying to use the IUL fund that we can sell the.
Can't, it's not what you're, that's not what it's for. You can to some degree. I'll get into that in a second. I'm gonna show you something on that, okay? But I want you to understand something here. So let's go down 300,000. That's what we're trying to get to. But we want you to get equity. And equity is where wealth comes from. Generational wealth. You have a lot of people who make money. Even people who make $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year. Do they spend it or save it? They almost all spend it. They just, that's human nature. You raise your standard of living up. So they don't end up with generational wealth. You have to have something you own that becomes great value. For you to be considered for being a managing partner, how much do you have to make? What, 500,000, 600,000? Let's just say you got to make, if you make $600,000 a year here, you have the right to become a managing partner where you get equity in our company that owns us, which is, you know, I'll show you, I'll end with that in a few minutes, okay? Because I'm not going to be real long-winded today, but I will end with equity, okay? If I somehow don't, remind me, okay? Why is equity important? Well, first of all, everybody wants residual income. That's, if you ask anybody why they join Herbalife, Amway, whatever, residual income. That's what they're going to say. Now, it hardly ever happens because people quit and go to other companies, right? But the thought of it is how, that's how I recruit realtors. They don't have residual income. You sell a house, you make money one time. And now you got to do it again, right? So I want you to pay attention to the leaders bulletin. You just go do that. And you're going against history. You're going against the book to go become great. So people want generational wealth. They talk about this on the internet. What does that mean? How much money is generational wealth? How much is enough, do you think, for you, for your grandkids and grandkids to have money? No. You would probably get 50 to 70 million. But I can promise you can spend $1 million in a heartbeat. But my daughter my wife has already spent it this afternoon on her hair. Oh, I thought you said 1 million. No. Yeah, no. First of all, no. First, listen. It used to be in America that if you saved $1 million, you were okay for retirement. Now that number is a minimum of 2 billion. So it's a minimum of 2 billion for retirement, to any kind of retirement. So let's make it a low number, say it's 10 million for generational wealth. How are you going to end up with a pile of $10 million? It's hard. Because listen, if you start making money, you're making money, all of a sudden you're going to have a blowout and you got to pay for those tires. You start making money and saving, I'm saving, and then you get sick. Wipe you out just like that. If your mom gets sick, you're going to pay whatever it takes to take care of your mom. And then if you get divorced, heaven forbid, half your money's gone. God bless America, right? And then also, it just costs money to live, right? So, how is a normal person really go accumulate a pile of cash? Not of real estate. Because there's a lot of people that have money and they have paper millionaires. I'm talking about $10 million cash. It's a hard thing to ever do. So let's use Rihanna as an example. You know Rihanna, the singer, Rihanna? Why is she's worth more money, and I say this every time, but I'll say it again. She's worth more money than Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and the Beatles. Now, how is she worth more money than them? Those of you that are new. Anybody? It's not because she's the hottest or prettiest or best singer. It's because she owns Fenty. It's her brand. Fenty's got what, purses and makeup? What does Fenty have? Makeup? And so and so the Louis Vuitton bought Fenty for a couple of, huh? Fenty. Yeah, Fenty. How do you spell it? How do you spell it? How do you spell Fenty for what she has? Fenty. So she owns that company. And so that made her, because she owned, yeah, but now they're all following this model. They're trying. So George Clooney, he's a billionaire because he's almost as handsome as me. I know what you're thinking. I know. Okay. So no, but really, why is he a billionaire? Because he owns Casamigo tequila. And he became a billionaire from that, not from his movies, all that. And there's only examples. But we're not George Clooney. We're not Rihanna. So how do we, normal people, go do that? Okay. So here, if you make $600,000 a year, let me show you what that means. You take this calculator. Yeah, the company wants us. We'll buy your company from you for 10 times what you're making. Then you can take 25% of that. Which is not gone public yet. Which BlackRock and Blackstone says is the #1 stock to buy in the world over the next 3 years. That's not in any meeting you're going to go to. That's what makes this whole nother thing. So equity is what you want. Even if you don't understand it, it's a big deal. So any questions on that? Per year? What's that? No. Here's what they do. It's even way better than that, okay? Let me show you. If you were to make 600,000 this year and then next year, right? You made that, right? If you wanted to, they would come to you and pay you a check for 10 times what you're making. So they would pay you $6 million. And you could take 25% of that, put it into their stock. So it wasn't even the money they gave you. I mean, it's not even your own money, it's money they gave you. Because I'll show you going back 2 years ago, we went to the convention. And we get there, and all these checks were facing the other way. Listen now, there was like, I don't know how many, a couple hundred of them. And so what happened was the company had got a big bonus, and we gave out 20% of it to the field. So I got 2 checks. They were right at $3 million total. Now that's a good thing, but you can spend that fast. I remember I wrote the check for taxes and it about killed me, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I had to physically hold my hand down, you know? But what's awesome is I was able to take 25% of that, which is about $1 million between what I got. And now it's in integrity stock. So I have money in integrity stock of what they gave me. It wasn't, I didn't even write a check for my own money. It really, no, not this. No. Well, it's all in a trust. It's a whole nother conversation. I minimize taxes on it. Yeah. That's what you want to do. Difference between tax. Yes. There's no vesting period, but you have to be an active RMD when it pays out. In other words, when it comes time to pay it out, and you used to, like right now, there's people in June going to get a pretty big bonus, right? But if they're not active at the company then, they don't get that money. So if somebody went brain lock and left or whatever, it's gone.
I don't have money in there, but they would only let me take 1 vouch, and then when I stopped being full-time, like you said, like
Yeah. Well, on this, what it is you actually are able to get buy stock in integrity. Yeah. And that's the whole thing on it. And to give you a couple of little examples on this, see, hold on a second. Show you a couple of things on equity. Like if you go, what is the Wi-Fi here? Or what is the, yeah, I'm almost sure I'm already, no, I'm on it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there we go. I'm on it from before. There we go. We're cooking with gas here. I control all. Don't ever doubt me. I got it. I'm on it. I'm on it. Okay, look, if you go here and you put in here integrity.com. And the only reason I want you to do this is to see how big this really is. As big as HGI is, that's great. But we just went, who all went? Valentina, you, and Rafa. We went to their headquarters. Now, this is the nicest building in Dallas. I mean, it is, I'm not a building guy, but it's nice, okay? It was jaw-dropping, okay? Now, this company only started less than 10 years ago. But as they built themselves, these are all the companies that they bought over the last 5 or 6 years. All these companies. And they're still totally private. And so people didn't know how big they were because they were real private. Like, but they're like, how much money do you have that you're buying all these companies? Okay. So there's a company called Silver Lake. Silver Lake is a big investment company like BlackRock and Blackstone. But if you look here, they put in $1.2 billion into integrity for 10% of the company. So that means that integrity was worth $12 billion. I'm not that smart, but you can. That's in 2021. Now they're at least 22 billion. I know a number of what it really, I think it is, but I'm way undercutting it. So now they're a $20 billion company. Privately held, but you got to understand that's bigger than Primerica, WFG combined and doubled. Herbalife's a big company, right? Google, somebody Google, we did this before, but Herbalife market cap. And listen, if you added up the market cap, do you know what the market, who knows what market cap means? It is, but if you added up all the stock, that's what it's worth. Okay. This is very important. I think it's more than that, but it's something billion. It's a couple of billion. I think. Okay. Hang on, listen to me, guys. This is I'm up here. I'm trying to stretch everybody today, okay? Because if you're going to be here, I want you to win. It's no game, right? That's why I'm a crazed madman everywhere. So, and Debbie will tell you in Atlanta, she's one of the leaders in Atlanta. She's shadowing me today. I mean, I do this all day, every day. I love this because of this moment. There's never been an equity moment like there is right now. Okay. So, on this in network marketing, a lot of times somebody will go, we're $1 billion company. Now listen to me. Just because a company has $1 billion in sales, listen to this, okay? Just because a company, because you battle this in network marketing all the time. Like somebody in a meeting said that my dad was the only guy to ever build $3 billion market cap companies. And the guy who founded Monavi, can't remember the guy's name, the guys who know him said, oh no, he built 3. Okay, listen. He built 3 companies that did $1 billion in sales. That is not, doing $1 billion in sales is not a $1 billion value company. This is very important difference. Now that's impressive in its own world. I mean, but that's does not make your company worth $1 billion. We're talking about publicly traded, the value of the public valuation is $1 billion or more. Exactly. If you were to sell, and not only that, if you added up all the stock that the public has, it's that value. So if you added up Amway, New Skin, Herbalife, everybody that you could think of. Okay, but listen, if you added up all of them, it's worth less than Integrity's worth by itself. So that's where, so man, I mean, I'm just, if you had been on the tour we went on, it was insanity. I mean, it really was just crazy. And so, and then there's just so much more. I don't want to overwhelm you with all this stuff, but most of you know a company called PHP. Some of you do. Patrick Bet-David, okay? Nothing wrong with Patrick Bet-David. But when he sold his company to Integrity, he made whatever he made. He did not take that and split it with the field. Here, we took 20% of what was paid to us and paid it to the field. And we're doing it again in June. And listen, and as he was talking about, as you were talking about, we didn't say we were going to go do it and didn't pay it. We paid the cash. When I got that check, another guy that was standing beside me, Althoff, one of the Indian guys who we have is incredible. His said 400,000. And he's like, what does all this mean? He goes, is this some credit I'm getting? And he goes, no. Do I hold on to this check? He goes, no. Dad goes, it's in your account. And this guy looks at his bank account, $400,000. So when we get that, it's in the account. It's not like BS gonna do it. There's all kinds of talkers in today's world. We're gonna do this. We're gonna build this. We'll see. You know, it's that's the power of that whole thing. So be able to articulate this. Our story is powerful. I do want to show you one thing real quick. Don't get complicated on what we do. If you sit down with most people, everybody needs this. I don't care who it is. If they're young, if they're 23, just starting, you need to give them a presentation. We call it the X curve. They all need term and living benefits. I don't care who they are. They might need some final expense, mortgage protection, and you just do a dime, which means a dime is a simple, here's how much insurance you need. Who can explain the dime? What's the dime? Anybody know? Yeah, all I got to do is if let's just say you're new to this, right? Is he new to financial services, right? So all he's got to do, let me show you this. This is what I love about what we do. You know. You're brand new, never been in this business, right? Watch this. All he has to do is ask me these questions and the computer gives the answers. For example, if he sits down with me and says, okay, Jody, how much money, or what's your total debt? What letter does debt start with? The dime is debt, income, mortgage, and education. That's the dime. So you just sit down and just write out the word dime. It's okay. That's why we do this. Listen, listen, there's so much stuff going. I assume when I sit down that nobody knows it. Because there's always, even though you're as good as we got, there's a lot of stuff. And you got to hear it and then hear it and then hear it, okay? But the dime is that when you're sitting down with somebody, all you do is write out the word dime. And you just sit down and go, what are your debts? Well, let's just say my debts were 45,000, which is pretty normal. 15,000 on a credit card, 30,000 on a car. That's pretty much all of you guys, okay? Then he goes, well, how much do I make? What's your annual income? Let's say I make $70,000 normal income, okay? And I go, what's my mortgage balance? And let's say that I owe 300,000. And then mortgage, I put that, what is the mortgage balance? 300,000. You right? I make 70,000. My debt's 45,000. And let's just say I have one child that I want to send to college. Okay? Then all you have to do is hit here. And what does it tell you? That I need 1.1 million, I need $1 million insurance. Now, if he came to me and I said, hey, I need $1 million insurance, I'm like, no, I don't. Now, I just told him off my numbers that I do. You can't, because he's laughing, okay, which kid do you not want to take care of? You know, do you not want to, what this does is it takes whatever you make, like 70,000 times 10, that replaces it. So this is incredible tools. So using all these tools right here. So now then though, finishing up on this, all you got to do, and listen, if you're talking to somebody who's new and they're young, you don't have to use all the technology. You can just draw out the dime, write their debts, write their income, and just add it up. But then let's say you're talking to somebody that is a little bit more advanced. It's kind of your middle person. You do the presentation and you do more of a needs analysis, asking more questions. Then you give them term, they need an IUL, they need a will and a trust, and they're probably going to roll over some money that they have $50,000 in the bank. But then you go see somebody who's got some money. That's these guys. No, sorry. Because that person is going to be more expanded. And quite honestly, 75% of the people, if you come to somebody who's got money, you ought to go get help. Go grab somebody who's been here for a while and have them close it and split it. You don't even need to get understanding all that stuff for a long time. Honestly, I don't understand all that stuff. I'm really good at finding it, and I got people in my office. Who do we call if we need somebody to close a sale? In Atlanta, she knows if she's got a normal sale, she goes and gets them. If it's over there, Kimberly already. We call it, she closes it. We don't even have to do anything, and we split it. But some of you will like products, and you will get into it. That's fine. But some of us just want to recruit the world. Yeah, you can reach out on either one. But you want to reach out within your own team if you can. Like you want to build somebody in your own team that knows all this so you can split it with them. But right now, you can use anybody. As long as your upline knows. You know what I mean? You work on all that. But I want you to know that's kind of how it always works. And I want you just to think big. Think big. All right. Any questions for me on anything else? Is there anything else you want me to go over in particular, or? Yeah. Just want to stretch your vision today. Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to show you one other thing real quick. Now listen, real quick on what you had asked me a question about IUL type thing. I want to make this point. If somebody has money in a qualified plan, which is a 401k or something like that, you don't want to take money out of that to put it in something else. You want to keep it in a 401k, even if it goes to an annuity. Because when you take it out and put it into something we pay taxes, I promise you, that's a compliance thing. Even if you think it's better for somebody, on the manual, I want to show you something. In that black book and that red book are inside of our back office. But I want you to understand that builder's mindset that I'm talking about. Do you know where it is in the book, Herson, where, what was it? I think it's 82. Hang on a second. I think it was 82 where Dad talked about his greatest years. I think it's later. Everybody hang with me for a second. Okay, couple of building ideas. You see here on 102, the one on the right, in this business, when you're out building this business, you go wide for width for cash flow and profitability. Depth is for stability. Now, right now in my business, am I working wide or deep right now? Hey, listen, hang on though. It's a trick question. Listen, I'm right this minute, me personally though, hang on though, I'm doing both. Why? Because yes, you guys are deep. She's first generation. Smart man. I got it all going on. So that's why I always have somebody here. When I'm here, I never come alone. I'm not stupid. I never come here alone. I always have somebody that I'm coming up in my base shop that I'm building. So yes, I'm here and I love this and it is a great thing and it's the anchor of my whole team. But at the same time, that's my long-term money. I want to make money. My kids got to eat. So Debbie, please produce it. But here's what I want to show you here. In this business, your width is your key. I'm always adding somebody new. Like right now, Rafa has got a great business. She's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And I don't know who else is direct to him in this room, but okay, but those two, right? That's great. Okay. Oh, no, today, yeah, right. So that's what I love. He's doing great. Because just because he has these two, he knows there's always got to be the next and the next. So you got to go wide in this business. Because look, what happens is the size of your team will come off your width. Like my dad went 60 wide when he started, so that as it grew, look how big it is. If you just go 3 or 4 wide, it grows. So a lot of these are visual things, but I want you to see this real quick. This is very important. Getting back to, bear with me for a second. What's the difference between 2 and 3? Yeah, but what would everybody else say is the difference between 2 and 3? Everybody say it's 2 and 3, right? Look over here. If he recruits 2 a month and he teaches his people to get 2. Well, if that goes, yeah. Watch this. I'll show you something. Look at this. If he goes 2 a month and he teaches you to do 2, and you take that 9 generations, look at it. Had you told him to do 3 a month, it's 59,000. The numbers, I'm teaching you stuff that I don't teach anybody else on our team right now. I probably talked to Stephanie about this because this meeting's so good. But other than that, I don't have anybody that thinks like what I know you guys can think like. And I got a lot of people. I over at Ike's team. And I don't know if they understand this. So I want this to happen, okay? So now then but I want to show you, I'm going to blow your mind on this. Hold on. If we gotta find my dad's top numbers, bear with me on this. His career best numbers. You remember what I'm talking about? Hang on a second. I promise you this will be worth it. Here we go. Here we go. Help somebody write these down, okay? Real quick, what this is that they took my dad's biggest months he ever had, okay? See if we can see what month he had the most sales.
Take picture. and send
Yeah,
the
and
video.
turn it aside. Okay, but while we're doing it, see if we can see,
Which one? His best
like,
year?
what was the most sales? Does it say? Uh, 2000.
It says base shop production,
Yeah,
then Infinity Top production. one
okay,
month.
okay, which was, okay, hold on, listen. How many, guys, here it was 2,000 sales in the base shop, right? Is that right? In a month?
20,000 sales.
No, up above that.
Base shop.
Right, base shop. Now listen to me. His base shop in 1 month did 20,000 sales. And how many sales did it do in the team? 1 month of 2,000 and then 20,000. Now watch this on the calculator. Let me show you what this page means real quick on the calculator. And even if this only, if only this means something to one person in here.
¿Cuántas ventas hubo en su base shop, el volumen que no viene de su RMD, y la cantidad de ventas que hubo dentro de su R&D estructura?
So he said, how many sales did he do in a base shop? And how many in his team?
20,000.
Let's just assume it was 5,000 here. 5,000 here. And 10,000 here. Now listen, this, yeah, guys, I don't care if you get this. I am blowing my own mind, okay? Listen, on my dad's biggest month with Primerica, they did 2,000 sales in the base shop. And he did 20,000 through his team. If he did that here, he'd make 70 million in a month. In a month. But here's what happens. Everybody's like, oh my God, everybody, what they go down, we're making a big deal if you do 5 sales. It's like we took our vision and just, am I making sense on that? I mean, just, I'm just saying, think bigger. I mean, just you can go, you have Aladdin's magic lamp with no limit to how many rubs you get on it. Rub away. Go get as much out of that as you can. So this to me is a, you know, it's a huge thing.
Pueden frotarla cuantas veces quieren ilimitadamente, que esto para él es algo que se puede lograr y que no quiere que sean limitados por él.
Yeah. And what I know to do is to go right down tonight before you go to bed. What's that? Oh, what'd you say? India? Oh, sorry. What I want you to do before you go to bed tonight is to write down how you feel right now. Take a sheet of paper, because what's going to happen is next week your life's going to go to crap, and you're going to forget everything that I said, but you want to go back and read that paper and go, oh yeah, that's how I felt. So I want you to make promises to yourself and dig deep on this so that as adversity hits, you're going to go make it happen. And whatever is your dream, on the beginning of the year, we had a party here. We all wrote down our dreams for the year. Can you believe that's been a quarter is gone? Quarter of the year is gone since we were standing right there, right now, with our dream on that little thing we wrote. Do you have those, Rafa? You have those cards we wrote for Christmas? The card, the dreams, our goals. So you guys have those, right? Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, please don't make me go find them. He's like, please don't make me go find them. But my point is, listen, hey, it was a good party. It's no, but that's been 90 days.
more than 90 days.
How fast can that go? Just flies by.
En
You
serio,
know.
terminamos a las 6 de la mañana. Ya está en el garaje, obligado.
But anyway, let's go live let's create the legacy. But it makes, yes, sir.
My mind naturally is to overcome objections anyway to come in. I just want to know how you overcome this one. For the people that we do bring, that happens here and there. When someone's stuck on the mentality that like, this is multi-level marketing, and it's like, I'm depending on people and I don't necessarily want to depend on people, the people that like see it in that way. Because if you think about it, I think it's a silly concept, because there's companies like Herbalife that have gotten such a bad rap about it. Is it, if you think about it, every business depends on people, even the Subway. You're depending on people to come in and buy the product, so you're dependent on people either way you look at it. So how do you twist that mindset of someone that's stuck on, well, this is multi-level marketing because I got to build a team and I got to build people and I got to depend on people, and how do you break that for them to be like, you know what, like I'm okay with this system? Because I see it like any other business, but a lot of people.
That's a great question. Usually if you slap them real hard, but no. Okay, we have a whole team of people. Our Indian team, that was the whole team. They were like, Aki, who's the main guy, before I went to his office, he said, if you mention recruiting, if you say Amway, you have to leave my office. Now, that's how they came here. They were very sensitive because they were analytical, the Indian group, okay? Now they love it. First time ever, I took, at RD Academy, he goes, I am a network marketing. We all were like, what in the world? Okay, but here's your question, answer your question, okay? Look, as exciting as I am, and I want everybody to be a builder, not everybody's a builder. And everybody comes here, okay? First of all, if someone says to you, is this network marketing? I love your mindset. I paid Heg. I believe in you. You know that, okay? And but I know this, you better be prepared for objections. And you can't, when somebody gives you an objection, you can't just say it's stupid, it's silly. You're right. You got to give them, they're asking a legitimate question in most cases. So you got to be prepped. And I am very prepped on, I spend a lot of time on anticipating. And most times I can answer somebody's objection before it comes up. I know pretty much there's about 4 or 5 things that everybody's going to ask. And I'm ready for it. I usually attack it, okay? But getting back to what he said, if somebody says to you, is this network marketing? Okay, you got to remember, you may love it, but you may not, they're not you. You got to read the room, first of all. And first of all, don't be defensive at questions. You already know this from being in the sales business, but you don't be defensive at the questions, because you may go, oh my God, no, we're hate them. He goes, oh, I love network marketing. I was looking for a good one. You don't know what somebody's going to say, okay? So if somebody says to you, what is this? Is this network marketing? What is it? What your answer should be is something very close to this, okay? Say, look, we're a hybrid, and you got to use this word. It's a no BS answer. You got to give them a real answer. You got to say, look, we're a hybrid marketing organization. If somehow you don't know what hybrid means, it's a combination of things. It's the best form of something. So look, we're a hybrid. So we took the very best of financial services marketing, things like brokerages, agencies, kind of like real estate. Because that's a checkbox there, because in their mind, they look at that. No one ever thinks Keller Williams is network marketing or pyramid, but they do. They recruit, right? So you say we're a combination of financial services combined with a franchising type model, even with some equities inside of it, combined with technology play with some features of networking. That is the answer. We took the best of those and combined them, okay? Now then, when somebody comes back with that particular question, I say, look, I understand this. So I go to here on the calculator. And this calculator says, if you help one family a week put away $300 a month, and one of them gets a rollover, you make 161,000 and you don't have to recruit anybody. That's the answer to your question. And numbers don't lie. This is where the calculator you overcomes what you're gonna, because I let them know here that you're not dependent on that. You can choose your path. You can go become, I have people, there was a lady, Joanna, that was at the event in Texas. She made $600,000 last year. She recruited nobody. Nobody. And so the difference, the business difference is that here you can make a living, a really good living, just selling a product. And then if you want to have a small agency, not recruiting the world, 5, 6 people, you can go make big money. That's where that side kind of comes in. But that's your answer, is the numbers. Because you can go make, it's the real answer. That's a great question. And say, look, and say, the thing they don't like about what they think is network marketing is they don't perceive it as a real business. In their head, whatever they think, right? I got to go recruit thousands and say, I understand that. That's not what we do. We're not that. That's not our philosophy. And so that'd be the answer to that one. That specific question. No, you bet. And you want to answer it, you got to give them a good answer and show them that. Let them know they're not alone. We got lots of people who kind of feel that way. And then just don't. Sometimes you can't. It's just like on sales. If we sit down with a client, we do a needs analysis. And let's say that she tells me let's say she's 50 and she's got $100,000 and she's scared to death she's going to lose it. Where's the best place I can put it for safety? She has just described an annuity. And now if I go, you need an annuity, and she goes, oh no. I just read Dave Ramsey's book. And Dave Ramsey says I'm going to go to hell if I buy an annuity. Okay? Well, Dave Ramsey's wrong on this one, but I can't convince her he's wrong. So instead of me fighting her, if I go after Dave Ramsey, I lose. Because in her mind, he's the guy, okay? So I said, no worries. Let me show you, we got other products too. This is what I love about our diversification, because I can show them a real estate land banking piece or a conservative stock market piece. Then after I have her trust, I'll say, by the way, Dave Ramsey was wrong. After it's like you get them going to church first and you baptize them later. You know what I mean? It's that. You get them going before you dump the whole thing on everybody, right? And so once they see that, I'll say, let me show you why. Here's why he doesn't like it, but here's why it's right. Because on products, remember this, there's no good products or bad products. Most all of them are good. It's who you sold them to. If you sold the wrong thing to the wrong person, IUL is the greatest thing in the world, unless you sell it to the wrong person and they don't need it. That's all. An annuity for somebody who is in that situation, perfect. So that's the same thing on rebuttals. So be reading the room on that, listening to people, let them have conversations. And those guys, they like for you to lead more with the product. Let me show what we do for people. The other thing, and I mean this with all respect, because I have lost weight before using the shakes and everything. I have the same ones in my thing, and I've used Prolactin many times, right? So I get that there are some companies that have decent products. But the truth is, there are others who have pretty good products too. It isn't like you couldn't go buy the same thing somewhere else. With what we do, odds are, if somebody did not hear, like sometimes somebody's like, hey, I'm going to join, but I'm not going to go see my friends and family. If I just showed you tax-free retirement and living benefits, what kind of friends do you have that you don't want them to know this? And so but you do it at the right time. Because that same person, if you go, hey, write a list, well, I write no list, or that same guy who has the network marketing thing, he's going to have a hang up on writing a list and seeing anybody he knows. So that guy said, don't worry, we're going to do it through the internet, get you other people, go out and we're going to hook you up with realtors and CPAs that they can help you go. There's a whole slant to that guy. That's like if I go get realtors, I can almost tell you the questions they're going to ask. But the minute I talk to a realtor, I know they're going to be defensive. Because if you asked a realtor, what's the market like? What are they going to say? It's the greatest. It could be the Holocaust. It could have burnt every house down in Miami, and they'd be like, it's an incredible market. Time to rebuild, because that's just who they are. So you can't come in and go real estate sucks. Because you do that, they're going to be like, so I'm going to come in and say, look, real estate's awesome, but right now it's a little crazy. You know, half of our realtors didn't close a house last year. That's a fact. And so I come in that way and show them the positives. But that is a good question. He is right. You got to anticipate people, and, you know, and don't exaggerate either. This business is so good, you do not need to oversell it at all. You undercut it. And the sharper somebody is, the more likely they are to see how good this is. Somebody comes in here, they don't know one business from another. They don't even know. There's at least one or two people here going, they don't know what I'm talking about right now. Know if somebody in here is that way. But that's okay. But somebody else is here is ready. Then comes you guys. It's dead ready. Yeah, I'm ready for something real. And then you guys go do your thing. Anything else? That's a great question.
There's something out of everything you said. The standard.
Right.
Very high, you know.
Yeah.
How do we create like a culture where someone gets signed? Let's say today's Monday, someone gets signed, and I can get him to complete his RTPP and even do more in just 1 month, you know, because many people, it happens that they sign and then they take like 2-3 months to even complete the RTPP. I want people to be fast so we can grow really fast.
Great question. Gotta make sure I'm on time. I'm fine. We take a picture from there, if you don't mind, just while we're sitting here. But yeah, Debbie can. I was gonna get her to take one of the whole from where she's sitting. Just take it like this way, right? Everything. Oh, you from back there, like behind everything, kind of with that, like here too. Thank you, Debbie. But great question. Okay. I'm convinced that in our system, it goes prospect, approach and contact, presentation, follow up. Those are all easy to be honest with you, recruiting people right now, it ain't that hard. Everybody's looking for something. If you just are out talking to somebody, it's hard. But if you're opening your mouth, you're going to recruit somebody. So that part's easy. Where it screws up is the next step, and that's the startup. That's where you control the situation. You got to do that startup within 20, like with this young man, right? He's here, he's excited, ready to go. Within 24 to 48 hours, he needs to have his launch. That's where you lay down, this is what's expected of you, okay? You go through right out of the book, page 60 in the manual, you go through and you find out what makes them tick. You say, hey, what out of what you've seen so far, what has you the most intrigued? But then you ask them the magical question, and that is, do you want strong leadership or weak leadership from me? And this is, now listen, this is real important, okay? You got to live by the book. This is my mentor, Rich Stolley. He was the best ever at this particular piece. If you go back here, wherever I was, 1 second here. It's all in the book, right? If you go here to page 60, whatever that is, 61 or whatever, you see right here? His situation, he's here, ready to go. Rocket on the launch pad, ready to explode. But if somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do with him in a week, you know, he may still be interested, but not like right this second. He will not ever feel like he feels right now. And so you sit down here, look at this. I say, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself, right? And then you get to know that person. And you really find out about them. What makes them tick, that kind of stuff, right? Then you go say, hey, out of what you've seen so far, what has you the most intrigued? You say, hey, I like living benefits. I like equity. I like whatever. Then I go through and said, if you're going to do this business, why would you do it? We get the why. Number 4 is, do you have any questions? And you answer if they have any. And then you go number 5, which is, I think you're ready to do the business. Number 6 is what? Do you want strong leadership or weak leadership? This is the startup interview. From now, if it wasn't before today, it is right now. Okay? And that's the systems. It's not Jody saying that. person saying that, Rafa saying is it's the book. And you unify it. You go right along to it, okay? But you ask that question, and then when they're always going to say, I want strong leadership. I mean, I have yet to have anybody say they want weak leadership. That's the wimpiest thing. Even if they don't want it, they're scared to ask, right? So there is when you control that situation. You go through and say, tell me what it is you want to build. And if a guy says, I'm just here to go sell product, I'd like to help a few friends and family. That guy, you ought to go get licensed quick and let him go out and start producing. Because if you go throw 330 at him, he's not here for that. I'm just telling you. But if the guy is like most people, which are, hey, I'm ready to build, I want to build something great, so I'm going to show you a play. I'm going to show you something that's caused this business to explode. It's going to take some faith. You know, because if you tell a brand new person coming on board thinks, what do they think they need when they join? No, but that's what you know, but they think they got to know everything. A brand new person who's not been in your experience, they're like, oh my God, I got to go get an insurance license. I got to go learn all this stuff. What's this IUL thing? That's human nature. And you got to embrace that, saying, listen, if you're like everybody else, this is how you feel. Because then they feel like, oh yeah, that's how I feel. I said, but I'm going to help you out. Set that to the side for just a second. So yes, and I got a video on this because we ought to have a Zoom call on this, this way, like for real, okay? This week we'll go through, because we got that new PowerPoint Kimberly did at 3:30. But I'm giving you an answer, but I'd like to really this week have a call on this for whoever wants to be on this. Because I'm telling you, what you do is you say to whoever, say, look, I know you think you need to go get licensed. I understand that. I said, but do you want a license or do you want a business? And then you start twisting their mind. They're like, you know, I hear you. Talk to me. And then you go back and just say, look, this is a system that's worked for 40 years. And it's counterintuitive. It goes the opposite. It's kind of like the Bible sometimes tells us to do things and we're like, why we got to do that? Makes no sense to us, but hey, there's a reason for it. And so the system is the same way. So you're going to show somebody, said, if I could show you a way that in 30 days, I could have you ahead of where anybody else would be, 6 months ahead, would you want to know about it? Of course I would. And then I would say, look, in business, there's two things. There's distribution and production. Do you agree? And they go, I agree. Now look, if I invented this phone and I said, okay, we got this phone, this phone's going to make us rich. We got two problems now. One is we need a bunch of phones to sell, but we also need a bunch of people to sell the phones. That's like Vivint. They got two issues. They got to have the guys like you out selling the product, but at the same time, they got to be creating the product. You know, you can't go sell all the product in the warehouses out, but at the same time, they're not going to go get 1 million home alarms without somebody to go sell them. And people know that. They go, yeah, that makes sense. So I say, look, we are about building distribution, and we will sell the product. You get licensed to get that product. I said, if in the next 10 days, we go focus on the distribution side, go get you 3 teammates. And then after that, you go focus and go get licensed the rest of this month. I could explode your business. And then we draw it out from there. That way and then if you see they're like these guys, then you go, but that's the minimum plan. Because 330 is supposed to be the minimum. I mean, I'm just telling you, you can be 10, 30, blow the whole thing off, but you go drop that on somebody who's not ready for that. And also, too many times people don't explain why. They just start telling them 330. And listen, if we got a brand new person, what's your background? What's your business? What's your business? Okay, so you do credit repair. Okay, that's right. That's somewhat similar. Your background's in concierge at the hotels, right? Okay, background. So you go take a brand new person, and you're like, oh, you don't need to know anything. Let's go recruit everybody. Everything in them is doing this. It makes no business sense. To you, it makes all the sense in the world because you've already been around this, and you got enough of it. That makes no business sense unless you let them know, hey, I'm getting ready to tell you something. You got to have the faith of a farmer. If you have got to say, I promise you, if you plant, the seed's coming out. We know this. We know how this works. And people will then go do it. And then what happens is this. You got to go make it work. Like you got to have his story and then another story and then another story. This got to happen to him and it's got to happen to her. So that everybody in the office is going, oh, I want what happened to him. I want to get one of those $15,000. That's what has to work. Once money's being made, people go do whatever. They'll run around the street in their underwear, whatever. I mean, they'll go do whatever it takes at this point, because but only if you have what works, which you're starting to do. But you got to pour it out. It can't be a one-off. It can't be like, he's Superman, he did it. He is awesome. But that's got to become the normal. And the normal is, let's go get this thing built. And if you don't know, Swan Nguyen, when he became the biggest guy, the reason he built his team was because his people, whenever he recruited somebody, he knew that they were 7 months from getting a check because they had to get all those licenses. And they spoke Vietnamese, and so they failed every test 3 times. So imagine that you knew everybody you recruited, you already deal with that in the Latino world a little bit. You know there's language barriers, and you know most people might have to go take the test a couple of times. So whatever, doesn't matter. He had it Vietnamese with no English for 3 tests. And so what he did, though, was he had his people to where they recruited so much that when they got licensed, they exploded, or they had more money there for them. Let me show you this last thing here, because I've got to go get ready for this quinceañera. Here you go. This is what Swan Nguyen understood, this page. I don't even think you've ever really. I'm going to have you guys understand this page this week, okay, Rafa? Here's what he said. Now listen, this is the polar opposite of everything I just told you. This is for the guy that drinks the Kool-Aid completely on recruiting, this page. You would not drop this page on the network, the guy who's like, I hope this isn't network marketing. He'd pass out if he saw this page on the right, okay? Here's what Swan Nguyen said to somebody. He said, if I could guarantee you that you'd be making $1 million a month or $1 million a year at the end of this, and this was a long time ago, so it'd probably be 3 or 4 billion in today's, but even if it's $1 million a year, if I could show you a system that worked every single time, would you go do it? Would you run the play? Yeah, you go run it. So here's what he told his people. He said, in your base shop, does everybody, how would you explain a base shop? Do you understand what a base shop means? What would you say it is?
Would it fit in the way that is your business and then your closest people to you that are building with you?
Okay, very close. 99, yes, great answer. It is anyone on your team that's not under another RMD, which is what you were saying, okay? So in other words, he is in his base shop, but everybody here is on his team. Okay, is everybody clear on that? Because he's not yet an RMD, but everybody else is under either her or him. Does that make sense? So, and even him, your brother's an RMD now, right?
Yeah.
So, right. So just so everybody understands what I'm talking about, okay? Your base shop is what you're doing. It gives you massive power. So what you build there, you want great teams, but your base shop is your superpower, okay? So here's what Swan did. He told somebody, and he gives them shirts based off the color of this. When his team walked in, you knew what speed they were recruiting by the color shirt they wore. Yeah, true. Yeah. So, no, so so he's got, okay. So he said, look, if you go first month, you get 10 recruits in your base. And then the next month you do 15 and then 25. If you do this, he did the math on it. Never been a human who did it that didn't make $1 million a year. And so all they did, they didn't think about anything else, but they just did those numbers. They literally did not focus on product training, learning other stuff, because they just did that. And they knew the numbers off that would pay them that money. And they did a complete sellout to distribution. It's base shop. Base shop. Huh? No, this is your base shop. This is all your business. He's saying in your base shop, you do 10 this month. In your base shop, you do 15 the next month. And listen, Even if you're sprinting out, what he's talking about here is, look, I'm a broker. I'm an RMD as a broker. I train you. The problem in traditional businesses is, why do realtors switch brokers all the time? Because they want to make more money. That's why they'll go, they hardly ever leave a broker because they didn't like them. They wanted to make more money. And so here, if I'm a broker, if I'm at 78% and you're at 60, you may like me right now, but if you can't get to 78, you can put me aside and say, we got a little issue going. My wife said, I got to get up here. And so that's what happens here. If I'm at a broker, I bring you in, I tell you, all you got to do is hit X, and now you're at 78, but now you become a broker. The company pays me 15% forever off opening other brokers. That's it. That's all that we do. An RMD is a brokerage. You see, if you look at it that way, okay? So even as you're promoting out, even if you promote out, you still need to do these numbers in your base shop. So that's the mentality I want us to really get to, is for you to completely sell out to. Here, is it more important for quality or quantity? The answer is both. I want you to understand. This is my amen for today. Ray Kroc was older, and they were coming close to beating Sears. Sears, I don't think you know how big Sears was. Sears was America.
I wanna translate.
Yes. I knew you had to get up here. Any good leader's got to be that way. I like that. Go ahead. Yeah,
Vamos a esperar que vaya
go
porque
ahead.
te voy a hacer-
Tell them what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Bueno, él está hablando de la historia de la compañía Sears y cómo estaba su crecimiento y lo está explicando ahora.
Every mall in the United States,
Todos los malls en todos los Estados Unidos,
the anchor
la ancla
was Sears.
era Sears. La compañía Sears.
Malls would not open without Sears.
Un centro comercial no
Okay.
había sin la tienda Sears.
The tallest building in the world was the Sears Tower in Chicago.
El edificio más alto del mundo era el
Okay.
edificio de Sears en Chicago.
Everybody bought from Sears. We had the catalogs. People would bought these, if you know what a catalog is.
Tenían
Yeah,
catálogos.
let's see.
Y
Okay.
compraban por ahí.
So, Sam Walton wanted to beat Sears,
Sam Walton quería ganar a Sears.
okay, with Walmart, okay?
Con la compañía Walmart.
So, he said, how can I beat Sears?
Y él se preguntó, ¿cómo puedo ganarle a Sears?
Then they brought in two plans.
Dos planes.
The one plan was for you to double the amount of production per store.
Un plan era para duplicar el monto de producción por tienda
The other one was to double the number of stores.
y el segundo plan era duplicar el número de tiendas.
Which one do you think he chose?
¿Cuál usted cree que él escogió?
This is the best part of the day. He did both.
Hizo las dos.
This is my message to you today.
Este-
I did not tell you to go focus on recruiting and forget everything else.
No le dije aquí que se enfoque nada más en reclutar y que se olvide de todo lo demás.
Of course, you need to know some product,
Claro que sí tiene
You
que
know,
conocer todo.
but what you got to do is both. So he went and doubled the amount of stores
Duplicó el
and
número de
double the
tiendas
production.
y duplicó la producción.
That's what you have to do at the same time. When I come back in 2 to 3 weeks,
Cuando regrese,
you got to have twice as many people,
tiene
and
que tener
each one of you
doble
got to
de
be
venta.
doing twice as much.
Y cada uno de ustedes tiene el doble de venta.
That's the plan.
Y eso
All right, that's it. That's it. So. Good job, man. Thank you so much. All right, guys. What's that? Okay, what's it?
El próximo evento.
Okay.
El del 25.
I have a question.
Hang on real quick. I'm coming back. Yeah. Yeah, Matt, good to see you, buddy. My man. Good to see you, buddy. Where at? Yeah. Yeah. We got one of our best leaders is Venezuelan, lives in Canton. Yeah.
Familia, qué bueno verlos conectados. A trabajar. Nos vemos. Chao, chao. Los felicito. ¿Será que no?